Habis antar ibu, kayaknya saya pulang ini.
Capek ya?
Saya mau sembahyang.
Oh iya.
Ya,
Hanya lagi upacara ya?
Hah?
Upacara.
Upacara. Oh.
Ini dijual, tapi ini semeter berapa?
Sama ini.
Hi guys, welcome back to London Travelers. I've just come back from a trip from Bali and I wanted to share with you a little bit about the background and culture of Bali and where I come from, Jakarta, as well as where my mum comes from. And she's Javanese and my dad's Sundanese, which is an area in Java that are next to each other. So anyway, my trip to Bali was a really interesting one, and it's something that a lot of tourists miss. If you're not a local, you kind of miss small cultural details. For example, on the way to our villa, we were picked up by a driver, and he was Balinese, and he was talking to my mum in Bahasa Indonesia, and they were having a full-on conversation about small things at life in Bali. And he said that once he drops us off, he's going to go and pray. And he said sembahyang, which is pray in Bahasa Indonesia. But in Jakarta, we say solat because in Jakarta, we're predominantly Muslim. It's not like we don't say sembahyang, but because he's Hindu, he wouldn't say solat, which is Arabic. So there's a difference in how we speak in Bali, they're predominantly Hindu, but in Jakarta we're predominantly Muslim. And so that was an interesting one. And on the way to the monkey forest, another driver picked us up, and he was Javanese because I could hear the accent. My mum is Javanese, and they were having a full-on conversation in Javanese and talking about Javanese culture. And because the driver couldn't speak English properly, to tourists who don't speak Indonesian, he'll just say one word, Sanur Beach, and then the tourist will say yes, and then he'll just stay silent because he doesn't know any conversation starters. But because we're Indonesian, we can have a full-on conversation about that. And on the way home to our villa, the driver was from where my dad comes from because I could hear his accent. So that was an interesting one. It's something that I really never picked up on because I haven't been to Bali in years, and this is the first time in 5 years, and I never really picked up on cultural nuances. So that's one thing. And I've noticed that in Bali the road is really narrow. I think it's because it's an island, whereas in Jakarta it's a city and it's wider. The traffic is still the same, but the roads are more narrow. So I think that's just Indonesia for you, depending on where you live. And I think because Bali is a touristic area, it tends to be really busy. So I wanted to mention the way Indonesians live. It doesn't matter where, but I wanted to talk to you about warung and the modest shack houses, and obviously traffic, I've already mentioned that, and teh botol. And warung is kind of like a corner shop for tourists and locals to get their essentials. And a lot of supermarkets the high-end supermarkets in the tourist areas, modest families that live in Bali can't afford it. So they just open shop on the side streets so that locals and tourists can, you know, buy their own essentials, and it's so affordable. It's like 20p per packet of crisps, which is potato chips, and their bottle is like 50p. Their bottle is a nice, refreshing iced tea that you can get anywhere in Indonesia. So yeah. So as I headed over to the monkey forest, I've noticed a lot of Balinese temples, and these temples are for the Balinese Hindus to pray, and you can't find it anywhere in Indonesia, not even Jakarta, because we're not Hindu really. And it's quite interesting to see that, and also the Balinese statue gods scattered around the area. Usually you'll see a female one and a male one. I'm not very familiar with the statues, but it's interesting to see that, because you can't find it in Jakarta or anywhere in Java. And I'll talk to you a little bit about the background of Balinese Hindu in the next few videos if you click on the card at the top there. It will come out soon. So yeah, that's it from me. Because I'm from Indonesia, and going back to Bali, it feels like home. I didn't feel like a tourist at all. Well, 50% tourist and 50% domestic traveler, and I'll talk to you a little bit about that in one of my videos that I'll post. Because I was raised in London, and you know, there's a little bit of a culture clash, but then when I go to Bali and speak Indonesian to the locals, I feel a sense of belonging. So, and it's something that tourists don't really see as insider tips. So coming from a domestic local tourist, I could share that with you, and I'll share more of that in the next few videos. So yeah, that's it really, and I hope you like my insider tips on my Bali trip, and hopefully I'll come back next year, because when I go back to Jakarta, I try to, you know, rest in Bali. And yeah, I hope you like my video. If you do, please comment, like, and subscribe. Bye.